information that we're going to get from her. So we're very, very excited about this session. So, as she says, we aren't ideal. So aren't our relationship, and so isn't our life. So true, isn't it? So, learn the art of self love to go beyond these imperfections and learn how to love ourselves unconditionally so that we can find eternal happiness in our relationship with ourselves and others. Often it sounds so simple. I know we use these phrases and we see them all over, especially, I mean, Instagram and Facebook, love yourself. But it's one of the things I think we struggle with. We struggle with having that self acceptance and really becoming comfortable with ourselves. Chitkala is an NLP and an REBT certified life and relationship coach, a sexual wellness coach, an author, and a poet. She's on a mission to help people find happiness amidst their imperfections with self transformation, lead the change, and then maneuver people and situations around. She's also written a book. It's called Beyond a Love Story. It's her fiction novel, which was also on the September list of the top 5 books of 2021 by Outlook India and has been featured as the top 7 by the international newspaper Asian Lite, India Today, and IANS, Asia's largest media wire. So, with that, a very, very warm welcome, Chitkala. Thank you for being with us. Chitkala, we can't hear you. Hello?
I'm unmuted. Can
Yes,
you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you. So, good evening to all. And thank you for coming here. Thank you for joining my webinar. And thank you so much, Sukriti, for a wonderful introduction.
And Smita already says, I love the topic. I agree with you, Smita. I love the topic too. And we're hoping to find us so much about it. But I want to understand from you, Chitkala, and this is my first question to you. Why do you love this topic so much? Because I know when I approached you, you were like, this is the topic we need to do.
Yes, because self-love is something that is very lacking in everyone. And self-love is, I always say, a magical tool to all problems in our life. It could be depression, it could be overthinking, it could be any relationship problem or even sexual wellness problem. It's like a fundamental. When any client comes to me, the first thing that I might tell that person is this: how to do it, how to practice it, what exactly it is. So it could be any place, it could be any topic. My first module starts with self-love because it's the foundation of a person's habits.
So it's fantastic. So you're going to take us through that today. So we're going to get kind of a sneak preview into your first session. So that's really exciting for us. But now tell me, so Chitkala, you see a lot of clients, and of course, I ask this question often. What is the biggest issue that you see plaguing women specifically right now?
Women mostly, they are so much depressed in their relationships because they have to give in a lot in the family. They have to balance with the professional front, the personal front, and most importantly, they try to match up with everyone's expectations. They try to be a superwoman, and being a superwoman is not possible. We have to come down to ground reality and accept that we are human beings and we are not perfect, and people expect us to be perfect. So that's what I talk about, going beyond imperfections. And that's because even nature's creations are not perfect, and how can we expect ourselves to be perfect? So women mostly, they try to achieve that perfection because they want to be the ideal daughter, ideal daughter-in-law, ideal wife, ideal mother, and so many other relations. So that's not really possible. And I think mostly we're going to have women here, so they're going to love today's topic because this self-love is going to help them be the best in their roles, but not the superwoman or not Miss Perfect or Mrs.
Now, I want to ask you a question, Chitkala. When you talked about this, and already you've brought it up, this question of expectations, my God, it seems like we are wearing a boatload and a coatload of expectations on our shoulders. So, will you deal with that also and tell us about this and how are these expectations really weighing us down?
Yes. So you want me to talk about it now?
You could right now, you could talk about it later, just, because this whole question of expectations is a big one. And I think it's one of the biggest ones because it's not even other people's expectations, it's our own.
Exactly. So having high expectations from ourselves is certainly good because it expects us to grow. But over expecting is something that pulls you down, that intimidates us, that overwhelms us. And when it comes to others, and when people over expect from us, it becomes difficult to say no. It becomes so difficult to set boundaries, especially women. I'll again repeat, because that's what I observe every day. So that's what needs to be taught to them: how to set boundaries, again, how to love yourself, how to stop people from over expecting from you, and at the same time, how to stop yourself from over expecting from yourself. So should we move on to the next question, or you want me to elaborate on
No,
this?
no, this is excellent. I'm just checking that if we've got the presentation ready. If we do, we will jump right into it. Otherwise, I will ask you a couple of more questions in terms of this whole question. And I think the stress, let's talk about this, of Valentine's Day, this kind of man-made,
Yeah, 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 yeah. All the
you know.
stuff and the buzz.
Yeah, so please tell us about that because this tends to put a lot of expectations on people. And I think even for us, because all of a sudden when we think about February, we think about February 14th, and this whole question comes in and says, hey, you know what, it's the whole month is about red and Valentine's.
Yes, so you're wearing red, I'm wearing red. Well, people here may not be wearing red, that's totally fine. But I would like to know how many people here, I mean, oh wow, there are 50 participants, that's wonderful. So, any idea what could be the age group, or it's all mixed? How
I
many
think it
people
would
are
be
how many people are about 30 here? Meow, no?
30 plus would be most many.
Okay, okay, all right, all right.
No,
So, most
Trisha is 21, 30, 64, 29,
of
20, 70.
wow,
Wow, 50. Yes.
that's really, really
Amrita
amazing.
says, don't ask. The decades of following. Aruna says 53, 49. Such an open group. I thought
Okay.
people would be like, no, I'm not going to declare my age.
All right, all right. So we have so many mature women here. Why I asked you, because when it comes to Valentine's Day, the young couples who are not yet married, they are in a different mode. They're in a mood of celebration. Whereas we all women who are mature, we're looking at love, but even we feel like celebrating, right? So that's why I wanted to ask. So, what are your plans for Valentine's Day? Can a few of you answer?
I'm going to tell you mine are none right now.
No problem. So
This is
let's.
how this is how boring I've become.
Oh, that's really sad. All right. But
Smita says, I bought myself a Cadbury silk with a heart. Venu says, no plans. Pragati says, no plans.
oh, but I have wonderful plans with myself. How about having your own Valentine, as the flyer say, as I talked about it in the reel. So today we are going to learn how to love ourselves. See, even if the PPT is not there, we can simply start. I really don't need it. Except
No, I think it's there, so we can go ahead with it.
all right, no problem. I can switch to the next slide. So here we discussed about how we are going to, yeah. So the first slide is what is self-love. Now I want answers from each one of you. At least a few of you tell me what is self-love according to you. Yes,
What is
everybody.
self-love?
Yes, perfect, perfect.
Hmm.
Raise the hand. Could you please answer? You can switch on your voice.
That we will do at the end, but right now we will allow people to talk. So Amita says, love yourself. Venu says, caring about self. Pragati says, accepting self. Neelam says, respect yourself. Dr. Vandana says, acceptance. Seema says, being happy. Kavita says, loving myself just the way I am. Kay says, being able to admire oneself. Divya says, love yourself as you love others. Anupam says, good evening. And Nidhi says, when you put yourself on top of the priority list, which I never do. Amita says, love is love. Daya Shankar says, like self as I am. Maria says, loving self with all the flaws. Manju says, do what makes you happy. And Lata says, nobody's better than me. That's why. I love it.
So can we have the next slide? There's a quiz, so you all can answer the questions and tell me what's your self-love score. So it's going to be a little fun before we actually start with the presentation. Let's see what's your self-love score.
So
You
tell
have
us, how do we score ourselves on these questions?
I was about to say that. I said that if you answer yes, then you have to count one. If you answer no, you don't have to count anything. So I just want to know how many yeses you get, and that's going to be your self-love score. I hope the screen is clear.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
So do you want to go through the questions?
Should I read it out?
Sure, sure.
Do you have self-day? Then do you enjoy recreational activities alone? Do you dedicate a special time for me time? Are you your biggest complimenter? Are you your biggest support and motivator? Are you your closest friend? Do you feel it's important to learn and understand yourself? Do you care for yourself more than others? Do you love yourself unconditionally? Oh, wonderful. Somebody's got 10 and 10. Wow. Do you feel you should take special effort to invest in yourself? All right. So here were the questions, and yes, 8 on 10, wonderful. So many women here have a good self-love score, and those who have not got, it's totally okay, because here we are here to learn the same. So may I have the next slide? Yeah. So you answered, shift to the next. Shift to the next. So this is my fundamental. You have to love yourself the way you expect others to love you. Can you just switch off the presentation and let me speak to everyone? I just wanted it for the quiz. So let's start with the talk. And today I want to tell you how you have to love yourself. Now, many times I come across this question. Chitkala, self-love can make you less giving, isn't it? And then this is an important aspect that we need to consider, that when our cup is full of love, full of happiness, we have something to pour for others. But if our cup is empty, what will be poured? Similarly, if we have our bottle of perfume has got some perfume, we can sprinkle it on others. The perfume of happiness, the perfume of love. So when it comes to self-love, I want to underline it in the beginning itself, that self-love is not going to make you self-centered. It's not going to make you feel self-obsessed. In fact, if you are happy, you'll be able to make others feel happy. Exactly. Right, Smita. So today I'm going to explain you different ways in which you can practice self-love. And before that, I'm going to make you understand what are the different level of needs that we need to consider to practice this self-love. If we ask ourselves, what are the different levels of needs? We realize that the first level of need is something that's physical. Food, maybe the way we dress ourselves, maybe small happiness like having a bath, going out. Maybe it could be something like yoga, practicing anything for our good health, our wellness, etc. Everything that gives us physical pleasures. It could also. So when we talk about physical self-love, I want you all to answer, what do you do to keep yourself happy on this level? Because here I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to expect your participation. And then at the end of the session, we're going to design an action plan for self-love, okay, where we will be addressing all your needs. And once all your needs are addressed, you will realize that the happiness level you have is the highest, even perfect exercise. Wonderful. So the happiness level we observe in us would be the highest even when we are at our worst. Okay, let's see what everyone is saying. Painting, okay.
Go to the parlor, music, dance, spend
Okay.
time with my friends, meditation, reading, dance and exercise, music, dancing, yoga in the morning, Zumba,
Perfect.
spend time with friends, go for a walk. On that, I really don't do anything, just clean home. Shopping,
Yeah,
coding.
also a wonderful idea to do cleaning home. It gives you such a nice feeling of freshness. So good, you're all doing nice things. All right. So tell me one thing. When it comes to the emotional level, when we feel that, oh, nobody's there with me, I'm feeling so lonely. Maybe I'm not, nobody's understanding me. What do you do? Do you expect others to understand you? Many times we expect others to understand us, but we realize nobody is understanding. We need to understand that. Do we understand ourselves completely? Most of the times we can't. If we ask ourselves why I'm feeling sad, we may not find an answer every time. Many times we expect others to understand our emotions. But the fact is, if our emotions are so complex and if we are not capable of understanding our own emotions, how can others understand us? It's so difficult, right? So then what to do? I would suggest you to first focus on your emotions. Try to understand your emotional needs and be your best friend. So, the first question I want to ask you about emotional self love is, how do you expect others to love you? What kind of expression of love for you is the best when it comes to your loved ones? Answer in the chat. Hug, okay?
Smita says, Trisha says respect. I said hug and kisses. Smita says, let me be when I'm upset. Amita says kisses. Neelam says, show that they care. Amita says, hugs. Deepa says, value my opinions a lot more. Party. Kirti says, understand me. Pragati says, be truthful. Love, big hug, care.
All right, wonderful.
Respect my space. Honesty.
Okay. So when we expect others to do all these things, do we do the same thing to ourselves? How many of you do the same thing to yourself, whatever you expect from others? Wow, Kavita, nice. So when we expect others to care for us, when we expect others to understand us, when we expect others to, forgive us, not criticize us, how many of you forgive yourself? How many of you can let go the mistakes you have done in the past?
I think we're our toughest, at least I will say I am my toughest critic. I think if I've made a mistake or I did something wrong, I will mull over it. I will beat myself up all day.
But sometimes we also criticize our friends so that they should grow. So being your own best critic is something nice, but at the same time, it's very important that you are also very fair with yourself, or you're also more understanding, more forgiving. So how many of you forgive yourself for your mistakes?
Smita says, I find it difficult to forgive myself. Amita says, I must say sorry to myself. Nidhi says, very harsh on myself. Dr. Vandana says, I like to be with myself. Akshita says, bit hard. Maria says, I forgive. Zainab says, I do forgive me. Pragati says, can't let it go. Kirti says, very difficult.
So all those who cannot forgive themselves, all those who cannot, bear with the mistakes they have done, from today, let's make a resolution. We are going to love ourselves the way we expect others to love us. Maybe we expect a quick kiss from someone. Why don't you just hug yourself like this and give yourself a nice kiss on the hand and say, it's all right. If there's nobody for me, I'm there for myself. Stand in front of your mirror and do some positive self-talk. Whenever you feel low, rather than expecting your friend, your family member, your partner, your mother, father to come and, speak to you and console you, it's better to speak to yourself. Because everyone around us are having their own problems too. It's not their responsibility to take care of us, because we are no longer children, we're adults. And when we are adults, we are expected to be emotionally independent. But what we do is we depend upon others, and then we end up blaming that because of you, all these things are happening to me. Or because of you're not supporting me, you're not understanding me, you're not motivating me, that is why I'm feeling low. How many times do you ask yourself, you're finally expecting your partner to motivate you when you're sad, but do you even care to give yourself a word of love, a word of forgiveness, a word of, it's okay, all would be fine. It's okay, you have gone wrong, but you can still improve. So it's time for us to think how we can grow. It's time for us to think how we can be little softer on ourselves. So all these things are very, very important. So this was the second level. Third level of self-love that I want you to think of is security. Many times we talk about emotional insecurity, we having low self-esteem, we getting affected because of somebody else. Then what do you do to push yourself up? What do you do to make yourself feel that yes, I'm good enough, I'm indispensable? There are insecurities in relationships, extramarital affairs, there's a lot of possessiveness in relationship, and all these things, when they go on, that time you feel so insecure, you have such a low self-esteem. So we need to do something to build that self-esteem. And the first step to build it is self-love. And then how, I'm going to talk about it. But I want to know from all of you, what do you do to make yourself feel insecure? Yeah, I'm going to deal with that question, why we are insecure. I'll talk about it. But till then, I
Please
want
repeat the question because I think this is a very important one. Please repeat it again.
I will. What do you do to make yourself feel secure? Or what do you do to make yourself feel emotionally very cozy or very comfortable when you are at your worst? What do you do to lift yourself up?
So the answers we are seeing is talk to friends generally. Smita says talk to my friends. Neelam says self-talk. Call up my daughter or friend. Vandana says prayer. Pragati says don't know. Kavita says educate myself. Knowledge is power. Trisha says pray. Divya says hug my kids. Sadhna says talk to my sister. Amita says talk to my mom. Dr. Vandana says talk to myself. Akshita says focus on the positive side and strengths. Talk to myself. Dr. Padmavati says talk to friends. Listen to music. And Lata says listen to Sukirti. Alrighty, I'm going to give you my number.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So happy to see so many have put in so much of trust in you. Wonderful. You're doing a great job. Well, well, well. All right. So many people are doing many things. Oh, yeah, taking a walk and all these things are good. But when it comes to emotional security, it's something much deeper. It's something where you have to put in a lot of effort. Now, when we talk about relationships, when we talk about love, even when we talk about Valentine's Day for that matter, we expect that our partner should take lots of efforts to give us gifts, to make us feel happy, to make us feel special. So, how many of you take efforts to make yourself feel special, to make yourself feel secure? When I talk about that, to make yourself feel the best person in this world. It's not just about going on a self date, pampering yourself, going to the parlor, doing meditation, doing yoga. Yeah, all these things are very, very important, but these are quite superficial. We need to take a deep dive to understand what exactly self love can be. So, I'm going to take you through all those important things that will help you love yourself very deeply. And just like we talk about marriage, relationships, when we expect that our partner should love us unconditionally, deeply, and wo sacha wala pyar, when we talk about, same thing we need to do ourselves. But how? For that, we need to take effort. Just the way we take effort in a marriage, so that we understand where I went wrong, where my partner went wrong, how we can make it better. Similarly, we need to take effort in our relationship with ourselves. We need to understand where we lack. We need to understand where we can grow. First of all, we need to understand where we have made mistakes. And when we understand all these things, we can plan out how we can learn from it and how we can grow. Because growth and learning and continuous learning is the way to explore yourself deeply. Because that's the point of time where we can deal with our insecurities. Growth is not all about professional growth. Growth can be about personal transformation. For example, if it's a simple thing about maybe you and your partner, and you feel that your partner is not interested in you. Many times, many women come to me, men can come to me and tell me, our spouses are not interested. It's been a long time we're married, and the spark is gone. So then I ask, how much effort have you taken during all these years to keep yourself happy, to keep yourself groomed, to keep yourself constantly growing? Maybe you're workaholic, but that growth is one growth. How many times have you thought that what am I going to do to make myself a better person? So their spiritual growth comes into the picture. Spiritual growth is not all time about religion and all time about spirituality in the religious sense. Sometimes it's about growing yourself as a soul, enhancing the positive energy in you, developing right mindset. So when we have all those things, we have a right mindset to look at ourselves. Simple question I'll ask you. When the mirror gets dirty, what do? You clean the mirror, right? Put makeup on your face. So, what I'm trying to tell you today is, when things go wrong in your life, that time you need to change your perspective at the things which you look at. Many times we cannot see our own reflection because it's blurred. We have the biases, we have the opinions of others coming into the picture that stop us from seeing properly at ourselves. So from today, whenever you feel insecure, whenever you feel that your partner is not giving enough into your relationship, you feel that no, I'm very sad, I'm depressed, that time you should think what you can do to yourself that will reduce the pressure on the relationship. How much effort will you take yourself to keep happy? What effort will you take to grow yourself, to understand how better you have become all over the years, rather than thinking about how bad the past was. And then look at everything with a fresh page. And with that clear mirror, you can see your own reflection beautifully. And that's the point of time when you feel happy. So if you're resonating with what I'm saying, first I would like to understand whether you have understood my point or not. So would you please put in the comment box what efforts have you done to keep yourself growing, and how has that added to your happiness, just in one line or one word? That would be fine.
People are thinking.
Thinking, we can think.
Yes.
Okay, I'll give my own example. Can I?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
focusing. I'll give my example today. When I started sexual wellness coaching, it was a new platform. Initially, I started off as a relationship coach, but then when I started learning new things, when I started having new challenges, that also started getting reflected in my own life. And when my life started getting happier, the way I thought about myself greatly improved. I started feeling that yes, I'm someone and I'm actually contributing a lot to somebody's life, or many people's lives. So that makes me happy. When I start my day with a session, I am fully motivated because I have the sense of happiness that I have helped someone, and that affects my relationships positively. So this is about being happy with ourselves. Yes, that works. Definitely that works, but you need to try and focus on it. Yeah. And many times, why people cannot do it is because they have not explored their passions. Sometimes we work because we have to earn money. If you work because that's your passion, then things change. It's not going to be with everyone. Whenever I mention about growth, it's not all time about professional growth, career, skill set. No, 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 no. I'm talking about self improvement. Somebody likes painting, and that person paints something beautifully. That would be the best moment of the day, and automatically it gets reflected everywhere in all fronts of your life. Yeah. So the next step where I'm going to take you is self actualization. All of us have an ideal image of ourselves in front of us. People who have got low self esteem may be dreaming that one day they would become somebody who's very confident. One day they would become somebody who would win hearts of others. One day an introvert might dream that he would socialize a little. So different needs, people have different self images they have, which they want to idealize, which they want to achieve, the ideal images. Okay, so now I want to know, okay, how many of you have such an ideal image in front of your eyes which you really want to achieve?
Maria says me.
Okay,
Amita says it's something I've never dreamt.
start.
Akshita says I have.
Do you know why we need to have that self image? Because many times we keep seeing ourselves from the eyes of others. We keep on saying, oh, why I got a rise of this much percentage, and that is why somebody said that I've done a great job, so I'm happy. We keep on judging ourselves from others' point of view. So if we have to judge ourselves from our own point of view, if we want ourselves not to compare with others but to compare with a previous image, then we should walk the path of self actualization. That means trying to actualize, trying to realize the kind of self image you have in your mind, which is the ideal, and you want to achieve it. Okay, so from today, I'm going to give you an exercise. I want you to write what kind of image you have in your mind, maybe in 1 or 2 lines, and just put it up here. This is the image I want to achieve, and maybe how I'm going to achieve, or maybe you can just write one more sentence. By what time do you think you will achieve it?
So, three things. So, what is the image that you want to achieve? How
Okay,
will you achieve it? And by what time do you think you can achieve that image?
perfect. And when we have that in front of our eyes, we start making an action plan unknowingly. You're right. I want to excel in this particular way. Maybe I want to make myself a better person. Maybe I want to make myself a kind person. Maybe I'm short tempered today. Tomorrow, I want to be somebody who is very calm, quiet, and understanding and poised. So, how am I going to improve it? Comes the next question. And then, when you start taking efforts, then slowly and steadily you start achieving. And that gives you eternal happiness. All right. Somebody said that they have achieved what they wanted to. That's nice. But if we actually see over the span of time, the ideal image also needs to keep on changing, because we need to grow continuously. And if we continuously grow every minute, every second, treating every second as an opportunity to have a better version of yourself, which you can love. Don't you feel happy when your partner achieves something in his or her life? Don't you feel happy when your child gets some award? Mothers here, you must be very happy when you see your child getting successful. Similarly, it's not all about typical success that we call. I'm talking about a holistic success, relationship, life, money, or self growth, spiritual growth for that matter. All right, moving nice. Good to hear many people are doing many things. Perfect. So, Sukriti, I would like to hear from you as well. What's your plan?
What's my plan? What's the image that I have of myself? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I want to be a successful entrepreneur. So, so I think definitely my image is, if I have to put it out there, the cover of Forbes magazine, my picture placed it on right on top.
Right. Wonderful. Yes, this was all about professional success. I want somebody to talk about, yes, strong and confident. That's exactly I wanted to say something of that sort. Because when I talk about spiritual growth and loving yourself, it's more that way. It's more on the emotional front, more about the sensitive, vulnerable parts in you that need to be addressed. Because whenever I talk about self love, it's about your relationship with yourself. Just the way we talk about any other family member, start treating yourself as a different individual. I mean, the insider who is talking to yourself, like split yourself into two. One person is going to speak to another person. So you one is going to speak to you two. Now you one is going to tell you two what you have in your mind, how you're feeling, if you're feeling low, why you're feeling low, and then how you want to take effort. So in general, if you start this positive self-talk, keep on motivating yourself, tell yourself about the opportunities which you can use to make yourself better, the way you can continuously learn from things. Now, when I talk about this, I want to take you to a beautiful image I have in my PPT. So, can you please scroll through the PPT so I can take you to an important slide? Because I think this kind of talk is better than the PPT. I will just ask them to switch on the PPT whenever it is needed, maybe to show some graphics. Take me ahead. You can take me to the third last slide. Slide number 11. Perfect. Thank you. Can you enlarge it? Can you full screen it? Gone. Anyways, so I have summarized all the self-love tips together, and that was a diagram which I was going to explain you so that you can see. Yeah, it's there. So put yourself first. Me time, pursue your passion, meditate, positive self-talk, continue to grow, set boundaries, forgive yourself, love imperfections, appreciate yourself. So I want all of you to give yourself one compliment now. Who's going to give compliments? Come on, come on, come on. You can just close the PPT. I just wanted everyone to see this image so that they would, you can even click photo of that if you want and keep it to yourself whenever you need, you can refer it. All right. Nice compliments. Continue to grow. And compliment, I'm awesome. One quality that you love in yourself, something that you did the best. I cooked wonderful breakfast today, or maybe I played a wonderful tune on my instrument, or maybe yesterday I just did a wonderful presentation. Could be anything. Okay, I'm positive, resilient. Fine, fine, fine. All right, congratulations to all of you for giving wonderful compliments. That's nice. So now I want to move on towards something very,
Before
very.
before you move on, I think Josna is asking a question. What is set boundaries? Can you explain that a little bit more?
That's exactly what I was going to move on to, because
Perfect.
setting boundaries is the most important point in self-love. Because when a person lets somebody cross the boundaries, it's all over. You end up losing all your self-respect and losing all your self-love. So I want to ask you, when two street dogs have a fight, one dog barks and invades the territory of the other dog. What does the other dog do? It tries to shoo away the first dog with all its might, maybe using barking. It shows aggression by invading the space. Or I will come to the imperfection point. I'll come to the imperfection point. So let me handle this first. So what does the dog do? The dog stops the other person from coming towards him or it. So similarly, when somebody is saying something to you or somebody mocks at you, the way you show your image to others is the way they perceive about yourself. So the motto of this whole story was, you should keep your image intact. If you want to keep your image intact, you should make sure that you tell people how they should treat you. And how are you going to do that? First, you need to respect yourself. Once that shows up in your body language, the other people will think twice before commenting on you, and other people will stop before you say anything. Suppose suppose somebody is very aggressive and somebody starts commenting on things and somebody starts calling you by names. You feel very hurt, but you have to show somewhere a red flag that this must stop. This is not acceptable. So setting boundaries is not tolerating any nonsense. Okay. So somebody asked me a question. Would you please, the person who said what is setting boundaries, I want to have a real life example in your case where you felt somebody was invading your personal space. Can someone share an example in their life so that I can take it up to explain what's boundary setting?
Mother-in-law.
An incident, please. Small incident.
That often happens with in-laws.
Of course, it does. And there are so many elderly women here. So I'll have to think before speaking because they would be mother-in-laws too.
They said commenting on my talents, commenting on my beauty.
Okay. All right. So if she says something about your looks, you can say it is just perspective. Beauty is in the eyes of the viewer. It's okay. You may like something, somebody else might like something, but I still love myself. This is setting boundaries. That doesn't mean you have to be aggressive with someone. That doesn't mean you have to bark back at someone. That only means you should say, don't overstep your limits. This kind of signal needs to be given very politely and very, while maintaining your poise. Yeah, okay. Someone asks questions about your personal life. You can always say no. Saying no is one of the best ways to set boundaries. If somebody starts and say, "Oh, what is going on in your life? Why I saw your husband with somebody else. What is going on? Is he having an affair?" Then you should say, "All right, I know what my husband is. So I don't need any information from you. Thank you so much for being so friendly." You can always be polite. You don't have to bark back. So I said, when one dog barks at the other dog shoos the first dog away. In animals, they are so violent, they are so crude, they're so primitive. But we are developed human beings. We evolved, so we have a way of behaving. We have a culture, so we can always set boundaries. Nice flags, what we do when we don't want anybody to enter our home premises, we build up a compound wall. Similarly, we have to build a compound wall around us so that nobody crosses it. Trespassing not allowed. What is it? Boundary. We have signals, speed limit XYZ. What is it? Boundary. So that one must not cross the boundary. Age of consent. What is that? Boundary. So there are different ways of setting boundaries. If you have any doubt regarding that, I will be able to help you with it. And I can always help you personally. By the way, anybody who wants to have personal guidance, I can definitely help. I would be talking about the next question. Somebody had mentioned about imperfections and how we can accept it. So, to explain this, I'm going to give you a very small example. Do you think God is the creator of the universe? Do you think God has made this beautiful nature? Do you think God has made us, all of us, beautiful human beings? So, all those who believe in God, I would like to ask you a question. Flowers are beautiful, aren't they? But are all the five petals same in size? Are all the creations of nature perfect in size and shape, perfect in color? No. So, imperfections are everywhere. So our skin is going to have acne. Maybe somebody's body is not going to be perfect. Somebody's face is not going to be perfect. But how does that matter? We need to love those imperfections. One more example. If you fall in love with someone, do you notice the faults in them? In the first, of course, in the first phase, eventually, as we get closer, things go wrong, and then we start noticing all the imperfections. So, grass is always greener on the other side, but at least when you're on the other side, when you are in love mode, that time we don't notice things. Am I right? And at the same time, when you go deeper in your love, that time, even if you notice things, you start understanding those and you start letting them go. Okay, chalta hai, theek hai, he has got a fault, but still I love him. Similarly, you should treat yourself in the same way. So you might have acne, you might have any issues with your health. It could be some personality traits in you that you don't like. Treat it as an imperfection. It's going to be there. Try to improve it. It's okay, because whenever you love someone, you let it go, right? Whenever your partner may have something that you don't like, could be maybe your partner may not be able to speak in English, maybe your partner may not be good at negotiation, maybe your partner may be someone who cannot take a stand, but you still say it's okay, he has a few other things. Then why you be so harsh with yourself? Why you talk about your acne and not your beautiful eyes? Why you talk about where you failed and not where you went well? Why you talk about your failures and why you not talk about your learnings, and why you don't talk about the best things you did in your life? So that is what it is. This is how we need to accept our imperfections, just the way we accept imperfections in our loved ones. Any further questions?
Smita says, I think all of these responses are possible only when the person values himself or herself. If they already have self doubts and someone points out these imperfections, such responses are not possible. It's like they're poking your weak spots. Amita says, but give and take to all of this, Smita. Nobody is perfect. It's so true, but they know exactly where to attack you, that you'll become a barking dog.
Yeah, other people are always going to talk about you, but how much you let it in, that's important. So you have to put your plugs in your eyes, in your ears when people start talking about you. If they talk good, you should be open to all those compliments. If they're talking bad, just take whatever is necessary and just leave. Because it's in your hand whether you have to put filters or not. If somebody is speaking negative about you, you can always put them. How to, oh my God, one second.
How to
Let me
tackle
check.
self, how to
One minute.
keep cool to respond. Sometimes it feels it's better to react.
1 minute. Let me check the responses. What do you mean by how to connect with your personality? I didn't understand that. I would like to take it up. Can you do a favor for me, Sukruti? I'm not able to view those comments properly. Can you just take up one question and read it out to me so that I can answer it?
I think they said how to connect with you personally, meaning how to connect with you offline. That was the question. But I think mainly the question is people are asking how to keep cool and respond, and something that's much more practical. Because, so I think they want more of a practical answer, because everybody knows in theory, yes, you should keep cool. But how do you actually do it in practicality?
Now just imagine a situation that somebody is saying things at you and you're feeling that you're going to panic and you're terribly scared, you're terribly disturbed, and you're either on the verge of crying or you're going to attack. I mean, you're going to speak out something that will hurt the other person. You will have to take a break that time. First thing you can do is try to separate yourself physically. Sometimes being in the same room is too intimidating. Take a break. You can just take a break and go to the loo, or you can go to the washroom, you can go in the next room, or simply start checking your messages, act as if you're doing something, but disconnect yourself from the person who is actually howling, barking, and saying things to you. That is the most practical way which you can give you a breather. Once you get that breather, rather than focusing on what that person said, start focusing on what you're thinking, what is going on inside your mind. And slowly and steadily, when you start thinking about your own thoughts and not getting affected, okay, somebody said you are such a mean person, rather than thinking why he said that, you should start thinking, oh, is that person disturbed? Has he faced something bad during the day? Is it really my anger, or is uh, he's trying to use somebody else's opinion against me? What is going on? So you can take a step back and be little more neutral about whatever is going on. Now this is a thing that I one sec, there's some interesting comments, let me check. Let me check. Yeah, so these things happen especially when you are in toxic relationships, and that is what totally destroys yourself. So when you are in any such toxic conversation, the best way is to believe in yourself. You need to tell yourself at the same point of time that yes, I do well and I know what I am. Even if that person is saying anything about me, that doesn't mean I am. Many times these people who are emotionally manipulative, who are narcissists, they start showing you that you are guilty, you have done something wrong, but that time you need to be sure what you have done. You need to reassure yourself like your best friend that no, whatever he might be saying may be right or wrong, but I know what I do, I know what I have done. And so once you start thinking about your emotions, your responses to the other person, they get little mitigated. You don't overreact, you don't panic, you don't start crying. So all these things happen only when you focus on your thoughts, you focus on what is going on in your body. The first thing you should start doing when all these things happen is understand the emotions that are affecting your body. Am I trembling? Am I having shivers? Am I stammering? Am I getting affected by all these things physically? Am I feeling that I'm having sweat all over my body? There are different physical symptoms that show up when you're stressed. So once you start observing all those things, you go into a state where you start contemplating, you start observing your emotions, and slowly and steadily you move away, you become slightly neutral about the whole matter that is going on, and rather than getting involved, you separate yourself. And this separation is needed. You become an observer, like you feel that it's a movie and you're watching. Step back, and it's you're no longer into it. So tell me, when you're watching a movie, sometimes you get involved in it, sometimes you get involved in the characters, you get affected, you feel like crying, you feel irritated. Oh yes, he's beating, yes, beat, boom. So when all these things go on, if you don't like the movie, what do? Just step back. So what I expect you to do is treat your life like a movie. Just whatever is going on, just step back. May it be a physical separation. Try to breathe a little. Try to observe your own thoughts, and you will be able to manage it better. And all these things, they can be explained better one on one, because we cannot take examples here. The session would be too long otherwise.
Now, Jyotsna is asking, if I do not like someone, or I mean hate someone, I cannot love myself as I am hating. So I am not good and I feel guilty.
Who you hating whom?
Let's suppose you don't like somebody. You feel this hatred towards somebody and you feel guilty for hating them.
Oh, guilty for hating. See, love and hate are very natural emotions. It's all right to hate somebody. Sometimes anyone amongst us might be feeling like killing someone. It's a natural reaction. We all are human beings and downright animals. Don't forget that. There's an animal inside all of us which has evolved, but sometimes it comes up. And it is still okay to be that way. Many times you over expect from ourselves that we should, be very nice. We should be have nice feelings. But it's okay to have negative feelings also. It's okay to be jealous. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to hate someone. And also, we can hate because we can love. There are two sides of the same coin. A person who can hate can love. A person who is angry can also love. A person who can be good can be bad. So there are two sides. If this becomes so neutral, if we are nice about everything, if we are okay about everything, there won't be fun in life. The fun about life is we also have all those negative emotions. The fun is about the gray areas. Looking at life from black and white point of view makes you get nothing. It doesn't give you anything. Start looking at life from the gray area point of view. Nothing is good, nothing is bad. Everything is all about perspective. Now, I will tell you a story. Three people who were blind were asked to describe how was the elephant. One of them touched the tail of the elephant and felt that elephant was a rope. The second person touched the tongue and felt elephant was roundish. The third person touched the feet of the elephant and felt it was like a pillar. Now, this shows how people have different perspectives. Similarly, when we look at life, when we look at anger, when we look at handling situations, we look at mistakes people do. Everything is about perspective. It's either about right or it's not about right or wrong. It's about how you look at it. So hating somebody is also okay. You hate somebody for, tell me, why do you hate somebody? Can you tell me a reason for that if you have that hatred for someone? So I'll tell you how it can be done differently.
They annoy you. The past.
All right, if past hurts, I would ask you, is there something that you learned about your past? Something that you learned from your past that made you a better person? Now, I will tell you one painful incident from my own life. I lost my father when I was 4 months pregnant. Now, I don't feel sad about my father's death because my father's death made me a stronger person. My father's death made me a better person, and I learned to share my way of handling stress, my way of handling relationships after that time, because I became a different person altogether. I transformed myself. I was poles apart, but today, whoever I am different, and this particular incident changed me. So if we start taking learnings from the past, anything that hurts us, we can have a different emotion attached to it. Okay. Physical is nice. Any other questions? I think this question answer is going better. Past enhancement, I'll definitely help you one on one. This opportunity is not enough to talk about how you can overcome past. I have a 3-step formula that I use to help people overcome their past and let go things and move on. But I will tell you in short how you can overcome all those negative emotions and that you attach with people. Whenever you break up and if you want to move on, one thing that you can do is create new memories, create new associations, and be as independent as you can. Once you do that, it becomes very easy for you to move on from a person who is no longer in your life. Anything else anybody would like to ask me? Sukriti, can you see a question that needs to be addressed?
I am also looking. But I think we've addressed a lot of it. But I guess the question becomes is not being able to let go the past, uh, dealing with the boss, which sometimes you cannot uh, deal with very emotionally correctly. So I think that was one of the questions.
Dealing with the boss, meaning, can you just elaborate? I mean, can we have somebody in the session, or we can have some
Yeah,
voice?
no, I'm asking if somebody has a question, we can ask them to unmute. I mean, we are waiting to see if any question is
These
like that.
questions are not complete. I will have to just take up a thread and again put in my own incident there to explain. That won't give them an answer. That is why I want them to speak out.
Can you post the slide containing the chart?
No?
People would like to see that. Anybody would like to ask a question, I can ask to unmute.
Or till then, I would like to take them through an important slide.
Acha, Sia would, so I'll just go ahead, Sia.
Hello.
Hi, go ahead, Sia.
So actually, it's that I am a bit overweight, which never bothered me in a long time. But since like my family, my parents, everyone is looking for a marriage match, and they are like, "You're so overweight, we won't find you anyone." So that has made me a bit like more than insecure. That has break my confidence, and I don't know how to deal with that.
All right. Okay. So this is happening because you are. Can may I know 1 minute? Can you switch on the video, please? Or you don't want to? It's okay if you don't want to. I just wanted to know if you can. Would you like to switch on your video?
I don't, yeah, I've,
All right, it's okay, no problem. So when it comes to body image, it's okay to be a little overweight, but people will keep on judging you. So then what you can do is you improve your the way you dress up, you improve the way you walk, the way you talk. You can do all these things. This will be one learning attitude that will take you from one point to the other point. Now when it comes to others, rather than thinking what others will feel about
you got muted.
everything, because there's so many men, so many women who happily marry slightly overweight people. So that doesn't come in between any marriage. People marry you for a package. If you're a package, then that's not going to stop you from being married. Okay, so you don't worry about that, and you can meet somebody like you, somebody who won't consider that as a flaw. Now, for example, when two fat people come together, do they consider being fat is a bad thing? When two thin people come together, do they think that being thin is a bad thing? No. For them, it's a normal thing because they are that way. So marry somebody who is like you. Don't think about what your parents are saying, or they are underestimating you. You're not good enough, you're not good enough. It's okay. You can highlight other things that you have, and you can have somebody who's like you. Now, for example, if you observe people who have similar problems come together. Let's not talk about problems. Let's talk about challenges. Two entrepreneurs prefer to marry each other. Why? Because they can understand each other better. So similarly, even when if you feel overweight is a problem, maybe somebody might feel that somebody has got BP, somebody has got hormonal issue. If we take all those things and criticize ourselves or feel low because my parents are saying, or oh my god, what will happen, will I get a good match, then I would suggest find somebody who is similar to you. For example, when we go at a place where all are like that, nobody criticizes. Suppose you enter in a meeting where most of the people are average, they are not going to point about your average behavior. But if you go to a place where all intellectuals are sitting and you are pretty much average, then you will be pointed out. So simple thing in Roman, we Romans are, if you are Roman, if then go to Rome. Okay. So don't worry much about the way you are. Try to find a situation where your weakness would act as a strength or an opportunity. If not strength, at least an opportunity, or a minimum of bottom line, we can consider it as your weakness will not act as a weakness, but would be something that is not. Okay. Are you satisfied?
Well, I think we're getting some questions because a lot of people are concerned about the answer and they cannot relate to the solution possibly that you have suggested for Sia.
Sorry.
They cannot relate to the solution that you have suggested for Sia. Pragati is asking, I feel like I'm taken for granted by people. I'm not able to answer the situation in a strong way. What to do?
I'm not able to answer to the situation in a strong way. May I know why you're being taken for granted and by who?
Let me ask her to
Would you
unmute if
like
she
to
would
talk
like
about
to.
it?
Go ahead, Pragati.
Yeah, hi.
How?
Yeah, I have felt that many a times people take me for granted. like they say something which is really insulting, and maybe I just shout or I just react back, but still I feel I have not answered them in a proper manner, so I feel I show my weakness, but I am not able to answer in a strong way, in a cool manner, even though I have tried my best, I have done meditation and everything. But again, when the situation occurs, I just get, at the stage of crying or shout. So I just want that I should be able to answer strongly and coolly, so that they know the limit and I'm able to set the boundaries.
Okay, fine. First of all, I would like to tell you that not all battles are to be fought. Many times we feel that we need to react to every situation. We need to respond to every situation. That's not so. We need to choose the battle first. So if you choose that something is a high priority thing in your life, then you can decide, okay, that is the situation, then how I will react to it. And whenever you react to it, you need to have a proper defense plan. And you need to answer there and there itself. And if you cannot, then just let it go. Sometimes silence can speak for you. Every time you need not bark back. Sometimes you can prove it from your action. Yes, it is. We retaliate and it's so impromptu. That is why sometimes if you're not capable, if you're not strong enough to do it, it is better to wait. And do you know the guerrilla tactics used by the Marathas in the war against Mughals? They used to attack from behind. Sometimes when your opponent is stronger in certain aspects, it's better not to fight with their weapons. You need to have a different set of weapons which will prove stronger. Okay, so sometimes attacking from behind is another way in which you can save yourself if the opponent is tall or if you cannot directly attack. Similarly, when you have conversations with your any dear one and you're not able to answer back, it's okay. You can show it in your action, or whenever you can just note it down, and whenever the chance comes, you can talk about it. Many times it's not possible to do it on face, but it's not needed to do on face. And having this attitude, I have to do it now and there, that creates a problem. So do you agree with this? Would you be happy if you can retaliate in some another way? And sometimes retaliation is not needed. You can have that peace. You can stop and wait and show it through your action that yes, you can do it. We need to be a little more mature. We are not kids to fight back. Sometimes we can show that we are better in other ways.
Dr. Vandana wants to understand the difference between meek and humble.
And humble. Okay, all right. Humble is a person who knows what he is and at the same time prefers to have a low image. For example, you know that you're superior in certain aspects, but you don't make a fuss of it. And weak is a person who is not sure what he is, or maybe he might be feeling that he is not good enough. That is why he is humble, or that is why he is low-key. Let me correct. That is why he is low-key. So I say that if you're humble, that also means that you know that you're good enough. So be humble and be assured that you've got a great self-esteem, and be that.
Now, one of the things, Chitkala, we said we will give everybody an action plan to self-love. Did you want to show that, as we are running out of time now?
Yes. Will you please take me to the last slide?
Rohit, can you put on the last slide? Yeah.
So I explained all these all these 5 needs. The physical needs I explained to you. You can have a nice bath while putting on some music. You can do some exercise. You can pamper yourself. All physiological needs are all clear. Anything that is physical. The second is security needs. How can you be your best friend? How can you forgive yourself? How can you compliment yourself? You can do something that makes you feel happy every day. Third is emotional needs. that I talked about, how to be the same thing. Security and emotional needs, they overlap. But when it comes to security needs, it's more about being self-protective, and emotional needs is more about motivation and, being your best friend, keeping yourself happy, taking efforts, etc. etc. Basically, number 2 and number 3 are similar. Then self-esteem needs is about learning, that I talked about. 5, self-actualization was attaining your self-image. So you have to make it a point that every day you at least do 3 things to meet these needs. Now, physiological needs would also include something like self-gratification if it comes to your sexual wellness. And here, since I didn't speak about it earlier, I want to underline that it's very important to take care of your sexual needs as well. So give it a priority and do it, even if you're a woman. Okay. So I want you to make an action plan for all 7 days with 3 needs and 3 activities in each of these boxes, and make it a point that you follow it every day. And after the end of the week, you will realize that yes, you have done something, and you feeling happy, and most of your needs are met. And that will stop the kind of pressure you put on your partner, that will stop the kind of pressure you put on your loved ones, and make yourself self-satisfied, self-contented.
Preeti is asking a question. There's a very thin line between self-love and the inability to take positive criticism. How to identify that line?
Inability to take positive
Criticism.
I think these are 2 different things. Self-love is more about taking effort to keep yourself happy and keep yourself growing. And when you talk about inability to take positive criticism, there you are so insecure about yourself that you are not ready to accept anything from anybody else. If I come and tell you, if I come and tell you that you are really not a good person, you're being mean to somebody, you have been very selfish, and if I have some facts to justify it, you will start defending. So this happens when you are not sure what you are, and you're trying to justify whatever you have done because you feel that you aren't good enough. Somewhere at the corner of the heart, you know that you have not done enough, you are not right, and that is why you try to cover it up. So these are 2 different things. I may not say there's a thin line in this. But okay, if you have a higher self-esteem, then all these things automatically get prevented and overcome, because with a person who has got a high self-esteem will not defend much, and will be very sure of what is right and what is wrong, what wrong things he has done, what right things he has done. And then the whole difference thing won't come into the picture, and the person will still have a high ability to accept positive criticism.
As always, we always run out of time. Chitkala, any closing words as we end for the day? And people are asking how to connect with you offline.
Yes, you can share my number. Should I send it in chat if you allow me?
Yes, please. Sure. Go ahead.
All right. Because 1 minute. 1 sec. Okay, here's my number. You can WhatsApp me anytime, and we can always speak. So the closing statement for today. It's Valentine's Day, and since we have talked so much about self-love, growth, and everything, I want you to determine one thing. Before you complain about anybody else's behavior, I want you to think how you can give the same thing to yourself. What efforts you can make in your own relationship with yourself to keep yourself happier. Rather than complaining, I didn't get this from this one, I didn't get enough of understanding, compassion, kindness, care, etc., etc., start taking efforts to take care of yourself. It could be physical needs, emotional needs, or intellectual needs, because ultimately we are born in this world once. We're going to go, we have born alone, we're going to die alone. So if our journey is being alone, then it's important that we become our best companion in this journey of life. So let us all together decide that this 14th February, we are going to celebrate this day with ourselves and do one special thing that we have never done before. If I ask you, What is it that you have lost in your past? Maybe you have become a different someone and you still feel that, oh, I used to do that. I would have loved to do it again. I have lost myself. Let us resolute to do all those things that are lost in the past and make this Valentine's Day beautiful and bring back the lost self again on this Valentine's Day. Be yourself and celebrate the person you are.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we wish you all a really happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sukruti.